Hey guys, so here's the notes for 3.4 day 1. We're going to be talking about inverse functions. Okay, so what is an inverse function? Basically, it's a reflection over the line y equals x. So to find the inverse, we switch x and y and solve for y if it's possible. So let's kind of give you just an example of what this really means. So let's say I have this function here, okay? And so I have boom, boom, and here, 1, 2, 3, there we go. Okay, so let's say I have this function and it goes all the way to here, okay? So basically the idea, I'll change this to red so we can see that. The idea is we have the line y equals x. So the black is our y equals x. If we reflect our function over that, okay, it's going to look like this. Basically our x and y, they switch, okay? So here we have like 2, 0. So that means when I reflect it, or sorry, when I have my first point is 0, 2. When I reflect it, the x and y just reverse. So now I have 2, 0. Okay. Then the other one I have -1, and we're going to say that's around 1. We can just say that. So of course that reflects, and now I have 1, -1. And so there's mine there. Okay. So basically the idea is that the x and y values, they just switch. So here I had 0, 2. When I switch it, it becomes 2, 0. And here I had -1, 1. And then when I switch it, it becomes 1, -1. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do find the inverse. So example 1, example 2, we're going to find the inverse. So basically our first step that we're going to do is we're going to switch x and y. So that means instead of having y equals 3x minus 5, I'm going to now have x equals 3y minus 5. Okay, the second step is to solve for y. Okay, so we have x equals 3y minus 5. I'm trying to get y all by itself. So I'm going to move the 5 over. I added, so I have x plus 5 equals 3y, and then divide both sides by 3. So then I get y equals x plus 5 over 3, okay? Now, you could rewrite this if you wanted to. You could rewrite it as, I'm going to put or y equals. So we could take our x over 3, so that could be 1/3 x, and then the 5 over 3, so that could be plus 5/3. Okay, so both ways of these are writing them is correct there. Now make sure when you do rewrite, another thing is we do need to change our y's into a different notation. So that's going to be our last step. So change notation. And what that means is, so instead of having y equals, we're going to use what is called f inverse of x. So we're going to be using that notation. So I have f inverse of x, and so that could be the x plus 5 over 3, or remember, you could also write it as 1/3 x plus 5/3. Both ways work there, okay? But make sure you change that notation. So change the y into the f inverse of x. Okay, I would like you guys to go ahead and pause the video and try example number 2 there. Okay, let's see what you got. So first, we always switch our x and y. So we have x equals y squared plus 2. Now we solve for y. So I need to move the 2 over first, so I get x minus 2 equals y squared. So notice with the squared, I have to take the square root on both sides. And I get y equals, and now notice here, I'm going to have the plus minus because we're square rooting. So I have that plus minus square root of x minus 2. And then lastly, what we need to do is change the notation. So when we change our notation here, remember we changed the y into f inverse of x. So f So that -1 is like an exponent, but what that really represents is inverse instead of saying like, oh, to the negative first. So f inverse of x equals the plus minus square root of x minus 2. Okay, make sure you watch our next part. That's where we're going to be talking about figuring out if two functions are inverse functions.